In the seemingly tranquil towns of Rugeley and Cannock, unexplained phenomena have left residents puzzled and searching for answers. As witnesses to these eerie events, their accounts of inexplicable occurrences are as unsettling as they are intriguing. In this collection, we present two true stories that delve into the strange and supernatural experiences of ordinary people, revealing the mysteries that lurk within the ordinary settings of a leisure centre and a multi-level parking garage. These all too frequent accounts highlight the unnerving reality faced by those who encounter the paranormal in their everyday lives. Otherworldly radio messages. Nestled on the periphery of Cannock Chase, Rugeley is a quaint town where excitement seldom brews. The picturesque town boasts 2 railway stations, numerous pubs and expansive housing developments. The renowned cooling towers of Rugeley Power Station used to tower over the Cannock Chase horizon for over 5 decades before their dismantling in June 2021, footage which can be found here on YouTube. Although Rugeley often seems tranquil, occasionally an event arises that captivates the community. One such occurrence was the Rugeley radio messages. Over a week in 2022, Brady Morris and about 13 other Rugeley inhabitants received a sequence of chilling, mysterious messages via their FM radios. Some unknown force seemed to be meddling with the signal, briefly interrupting regular broadcasts, but only within a 2-mile radius. Those outside the zone were unaffected. Debate ensued over whether the transmissions were a prank or from another era. But one fact was indisputable. The radio messages were eerily unsettling. On the morning of March the 3rd, 2022, Brady began his day at his Pear Tree Estate residence in Rugeley. He slipped out of bed, donned his slippers, and ambled towards the bathroom for his morning routine. Little did he know that within 10 minutes he would encounter the most bewildering experience of his life. Descending to the kitchen, Brady prepared breakfast and switched on the radio, as he always did, tuning in to a well-known BBC Radio 2 announcer reciting news headlines. While he brewed his coffee and awaited his toast, the radio signal suddenly vanished, replaced by white noise. Amidst the static, a faint voice emerged announcing, "The portal is now open. The invasion has begun." Dumbfounded, Brady could hardly believe his ears. Just as quickly as it had vanished, the BBC Radio 2 broadcast resumed. He swiftly jotted down the message to ensure he wouldn't forget it and carried on with his morning routine, unable to discern the meaning behind the cryptic words. After work, Brady visited the Ash Tree pub, a short stroll from his home. While there, he mentioned the strange radio messages to the pub owner, who revealed that another patron had recounted the same experience earlier. Brady was now certain that others had encountered the same phenomenon. He left his contact information with the pub owner, requesting that it be passed along to the other witness. Intoxicated, Brady returned home around midnight and promptly fell asleep on the couch. When he awoke the next morning, he resumed his daily routine, turning on the radio in the kitchen. Just as he'd finished the last morsel of toast, the BBC broadcast ceased once more, and another message emerged. "The portal is secure," the voice announced, followed by a string of alphanumeric characters. Brady hastily scribbled them down. 52.7559N, 1.9433W. He then embarked on his workday. That evening, back at the Ash Tree pub, the landlord reached out to his friend John, who had also heard the peculiar radio transmissions. John joined Brady to exchange insights and try to unravel the mystery. John was the first to recognise that the characters Brady had noted were map coordinates. Although he hadn't managed to record them himself, he quickly input the data into Google to pinpoint the location. The two men were taken aback to discover that the coordinates corresponded to a site in close proximity to the pub, within the grounds of Rugeley Leisure Centre. "It's bizarre," remarked John, baffled. "Why would the message mention a portal at Rugeley Leisure Centre? It's nonsensical." News of the radio messages spread throughout the community. and more individuals stepped forward, claiming they had heard the same transmissions. Soon, a small group convened at the pub each night, discussing the daily messages and speculating about their meaning. For the next 5 days, the radio broadcasts continued, alluding to an active portal at the leisure centre's map coordinates. The intrigued locals decided to investigate the exact location themselves. On the 9th of March 2022, at around 9 p.m, approximately 15 people convened at the leisure centre, appearing like an irate mob to any onlookers. They approached the alleged portal site, and what they observed was astonishing. Every few minutes, a whirling vortex materialised in mid-air, from which a shadowy figure would emerge. The vortex would then dissipate, and then the figure would walk a short distance before vanishing. This sequence repeated multiple times, leaving the bewildered spectators speechless. One group member ventured closer to the vortex, approaching as it materialised, and dashing forward as the figure emerged. But something strange occurred. The vortex abruptly closed, emitting the loudest sound anyone in the group had ever experienced. John and Brady were convinced the eardrums had ruptured. Then all activity ceased. No more vortexes, no more figures. After an hour, the group dispersed, left with more questions than answers. The following morning, each individual intently listened to their radios, but nothing unusual occurred. There were no odd messages or coordinates, just the typical BBC Radio 2 programming. They continued to monitor radios for several weeks, but the strange broadcasts never resurfaced. Many among them theorised that their radios had tapped in to a paranormal frequency, and that the figures emerging from the portal at Rugeley Leisure Centre were spirits or demons. The true nature of the incident, however, remains a mystery. Multi-level labyrinth. The multi-level parking garage in Cannock town centre is widely regarded as old and unattractive, which is why it is slated to be transformed as part of a major redevelopment project by the town. Consequently, most listeners will never have the chance to see the structure firsthand, a fact that may be fortuitous if the following account is true. In the 1990s and 2000s, children and teenagers often congregated at the car park for shelter and seclusion. The episode described here took place in 1999, but numerous similar stories have been reported as recently as 2021, all sharing a common theme. This particular incident involves 3 teenagers named Matt, Sandy and Rich, who discovered more than they'd anticipated while relaxing and smoking in the car park's expansive stairwell. The location was ideal for hiding, as the stairs were seldom used due to the insulation of a more accessible elevator. The trio spent hours in the stairwell, laughing, joking and smoking cigarettes before anything peculiar transpired. It wasn't until they tried to leave that they encountered the inexplicable phenomenon. The boys intended to exit the stairwell on the first floor. They descended the worn concrete steps and tugged on the door handle, only to find themselves on the second floor instead of the first, as indicated by the wall signage within the car park. Assuming they'd made an error, the 3 friends re-entered the stairwell and proceeded down another flight of stairs. However, opening the door once more left them utterly dumbfounded. Impossibly and disconcertingly, they found themselves back on the second floor of the parking garage. "What on earth is happening?" Matt asked, glancing at his friends. "We were on the second floor before, and we just went down more stairs. How are we still on the second floor?" he continued. Sandy and Rich were at a loss for words, shaking their heads in disbelief and wondering if they were experiencing some sort of hallucination. This time, the teens descended all the way to the bottom of the stairs, expecting to reach the ground floor leading to Cannock Shopping Centre. Yet, when they opened the door, the baffling event repeated itself. No matter where the boys tried to exit the chilly stairwell, they consistently found themselves on the second floor of the car park. "Let's just leave from here and walk down through the car park," Matt suggested. His friends concurred, partly because they felt they had no other option. The parking structure was entirely vacant that day, or at least that was true for the second floor. The three friends approached one of the vehicle ramps leading between floors when an even more bizarre occurrence took place. A solitary car materialized out of thin air, slowly advancing towards them. It was a large black Mercedes with enormous rims and tinted windows. The boys jumped aside, but the car halted beside them, and a window lowered. "Do you need a ride?" a voice inquired from within the car. Sandy appeared inside, but couldn't spot the driver. The vehicle appeared empty. "Do you need a ride?" the voice repeated, seemingly from nowhere. "No, we're fine, thanks," Rich responded to the invisible speaker. As the boys heard the final words, "Suit yourselves," the Mercedes windows rolled up. The car started moving forward, and all three observed as it steered towards the next ramp, which would have led the driver to the parking structure 3rd floor. However, that didn't happen. The driver failed to make the turn, and it appeared as if the massive black car was about to crash into the structure wall. The boys braced themselves for the impending loud collision, but it never transpired. Despite sounding far-fetched and despite being ridiculed by their peers for recounting the story, the teenage trio insisted that the car passed effortlessly through the wall without leaving any damage. Neither a displaced brick nor a fragment of glass littered the floor, as if the car or the wall had been an illusion. Sandy hurried to the brick surface and started patting it with his hands. "Did you see that?" he exclaimed, visibly shaken. His friends merely nodded in agreement. "We need to get out of here," Rich declared, grabbing his friends and steering them towards the elevator. "We haven't tried the elevators yet. Let's see if they work." Fortunately, the elevators functioned, allowing the boys to escape to safety. Matt pressed the ground floor button, and when the doors finally opened, an elderly couple stood waiting to enter. "You boys look like you've seen a ghost," the old man exclaimed upon noticing the trio. Matt, Sandy and Rich exchanged glances before responding to the couple. "You might be onto something there," Sandy said, exhaling deeply in relief. The elderly man and his wife laughed before stepping into the elevator as the teenagers exited onto the street. "Stay safe, you four," he called out as the elevator door shut. The trio felt somewhat puzzled by the old man's remark. At least that was true until they walked past the store window and observed an unfamiliar figure accompanying their reflections.